Hey YouTube, Fate Collab is upon us, and that means everyone will be receiving a free Archer Emiya from Unlimited Bladeworks. My name is Xlice, and in this video I'll be going over everything you need to know about Archer in a digestible fashion and showcasing his power at E0. Don't forget to like and subscribe to let YouTube know this guide was helpful, and share with those who may need some help with understanding Archer. Let's start off with a full guide on how Archer works. Alright, so first off, the basics. Archer is the newest installment of Hunt Path characters, revisiting an old classic before the days of remembrance overtook everything. He is quantum typing and scales normally off of attack and crit stats, with extra juice from consuming lots of skill points. His raw multipliers are very high, and he's purely a single target damage, which is highly contrasting to everyone and their mother who is blast, AoE, or bounce. Archer is bone of his sword only single target, and he makes it work in a very unique fashion by being specifically synergistic to shit tons of skill points. His main gimmick and primary method of damage lies in his skill. When it's his turn, he has the unique option to use multiple skills in a row, but they each cost 2 skill points each. Each one deals a nice amount of damage, and he also gains stacking damage bonus if he uses more than one. He can fire up to 5 skills in a row, or until he runs out of skill points, whichever happens first. 5 skills in a row sounds insane because of 10 skill point usage, but it's actually completely doable. It will require a Sparkle ult mid skill chain on top of having at least 6 skill points to start. If you get it, it'll probably come with a fancy achievement to boot. How is he going to upkeep these skill points? With the combination of his ultimate, talent follow-up attacks, and your friendly neighborhood sparkle. Overall, Archer brings a whole new meaning to hyper carry, completely destroying your SP, but with it enables some incredibly satisfying high damage skill chains that just hit right. The synergy between ultimate, follow-up attacks, and sparkle SP may prove to be a very different puzzle to solve, and at least from my experience, really makes you greed your skill points as much as possible. This different style of gameplay also comes with a unique synergy of bets and slot teammates that will enable both him and his team to gain the most out of their abilities. Let's break down exactly what he does. So when you first check him out in combat, you'll notice a couple of immediate things. His tooltip has these 2 dagger looking things, and we also have a lot of total skill points. Both Archer and Sparkle increase the limit by 2 each, so both will increase the cap by 4 up to 9. These 2 dagger looking things are his follow-up charges defined in his talent. Each one is a coordinated attack that deals single target damage and restores 1 SP. This is Archer's own way to restore some SP, given he's going to consume a metric truckload. There are 3 ways that he gains these dagger charges. A4 Trace provides 1 entering battle, Technique provides 1 as well, and Ultimate recovers 2. You'll notice that his Ultimate is his only consistent way of gaining dagger charges. The others are just one time at the beginning of battle. You'll typically start battle with 2 if you enter with his technique, and you can store up to 4 total. So he's expected to be the slowest member of the team. So in the meantime, it's usually just set up until Sparkle can boost him a little bit. Every time an ally attacks, he'll consume a dagger charge if he has one to proc a coordinated attack, dealing single target damage and recovering a 1 skill point. Its multiplier is defined in the talent, and this last part basically just says that the follow-up attack will find another target if the current one is dead. With his A6 Trace, at any point during the fight, if your team is above 4 skill points, Archer will receive a 1 turn buff of 120% crit damage. This is like a prep buff for his skill chain nuke the next time he uses it. Once it's his turn, ideally you'll have above 6 skill points to use. So using a skill grants a buff called Circuit Connection, which grants 100% damage bonus before firing a shot. This buff stacks up to twice for 200% damage bonus, which is in effect on the second hit. So essentially, his first skill is always going to be the weakest one, incentivizing at least 2 skill usages in a row, ideally 3 to 4. He can use it up to 5 times, or until he's out of skill points, at which point his turn automatically ends. If at any point during his skill chain you gain his ult, using it will deal massive single target damage and recover 2 of those dagger charges. This will help set up some SP for his next rotation down the line. Oh yeah, and on that topic, while he is chaining his skills, if you have any other teammates' ults, they can be used in between each skill usage without interrupting him at all. And finally, his basic attack. This is just standard single target damage, and you'll probably only use this if it's his turn and you either don't want to use his skill chain or you don't have enough skill points. And that's basically it. Weird, huh? On paper, his kit is extremely straightforward, and there's not a massive list of 89 different things his abilities do, and another 89 buffs he receives during whatever enhanced state. In combat, he's basically just press E, and enemies will die if they are killed. Memes aside, it's honestly a very strategic game of exactly how many skill points do I need for proper setup, and how many can I save for Archer. You might find yourself greeting abilities quite a bit, to the point of killing your allies and resetting your run because you didn't want to commit the heal from your sustainer. Trust me, I know. Anyways, now some extra stat nodes and talent priority. Stat nodes will provide him 6.7% crit rate, 22.4 quantum, and 18% attack. For talent talent priority, it's pretty straightforward. We're going skill number 1 priority into ultimate, into talent, into basic attack. Skill is his strongest and highest scaling ability, assuming his average skill chain is 3 uses long. Ultimate is used as often as possible, talent is used whenever he has charges, and basic is used only when it's his turn and you can't commit to at least 2 uses. Since he technically is a hyper carry, you should invest into everything, but I would say basic attack is probably the least important. And now a quick section on a very important topic. Yes, he is free, but is he worth investing into? So in my opinion, he's really glued to Sparkle. While there are characters like Hanya who can provide some skill point generation, there's no other character who has both a +4 skill point burst and some form of action advance, and both of those things make Archer feel a lot better to use. Supports like Sunday and Huohuo, who have ult funneling, can assist a little bit by making his ult uptime higher, which means charge generation is better, but the immediacy of having an instant skill point burst is really useful for him. Not having Sparkle means you lose 2 max SP down to 7. You don't get the ult to refund 4, which means his max chain becomes 3. A lack of crit rate and crit damage buffs. No mini action advance, no nothing. Other supports that action advance can't really mitigate the SP gain that Sparkle provides with their ult, except for maybe Sunday on the soft side. Now for Archer specifically, his Lycone is less of a problem, which we'll get to. In my opinion, only consider investing into Archer if you have Sparkle. If you don't have Sparkle, but still want to invest into him, you'd have to steal away Sunday Huohuo combo to assist with charge generation. All right, so now let's talk about his Eidolons and if there's anything crazy going on in the first 2. E1, +2 SP if he uses 3 skills in 1 turn. This one definitely helps if you don't have Sparkle, but you must prep 6 out of 7 skill points for him to guarantee its value, which by default might be really difficult. With Sparkle, this Eidolon is even more valuable to have. You have breathing room for 6 out of 9 SP, and Sparkle can also assist in funneling with ult in emergencies, and this also gives you the option to end his chain early at 3 to 4 uses to have extra SP, maybe 2+, for your supports if they need it. This is valuable in cases where a support like SilverWolf wants to implant weakness on a new wave of enemies. E2 adds quantum res shred to his ult and also an implant. There's like a mini SilverWolf in his kit. In my opinion, does not remove the need for SilverWolf on his team though. The def shred is still really nice to have, but you can use other really optimal characters in her place. Basically, a soft damage improvement to his kit, combined with his E1, his ult uptime should be slightly higher. E3, E5 are talent improvements. E4, 150% damage bonus for his ultimate. Nothing special, but now his damage is balanced between skill and ult instead of being skewed to his skill. E6, +1 SP during his turn and +1 max SP, so 8 without Sparkle and 10 with. 20% ignore def for his skill. Combined with his E1, he's looking to obliterate enemies with 4 to 5 skill use chains every turn. Sparkle is a must with this one. The ceiling damage is very high with an insane amount of SP generation if you have both. Now, overall, Archer's Eidolons are fair but not insane. In my opinion, looks like E1, E2, and E6 are the meaningful ones. E1 and E6 are going to feel really nice for their SP generation. Nothing too crazy, overall fair for a free unit. Now let's get into his Lycones. So Archer is stereotypical attack scaler that likes crit and enjoys skill damage. His signature is pretty much just that, 16% crit rate and 40 to 80% attack that he'll basically have permanently. If you manage 200 pulls during the event period for his free Lycone, use it. Now that being said, other Lycones that are possible, we have Stellar C, has crit rate and attack percent at basically half the value of the signature. Fei Xiao's is okay if you can settle with the ultimate damage here, also has lots of crit rate. Doctor Ratios is also okay, you get crit damage and you also have stacking crit damage on debuffed enemies. This depends on your team lineup, but can be very useful. Topaz is an okay stat stick with crit rate, a little bit of follow damage, and some crit damage. Xlice is not great. You will not be speed stacking at all on Archer. So you basically get no value out of the passive. It's just there for the crit rate. Now we'll get into the details of this in the relics, but it should be intuitive. We are SP saving for a big Archer all-in turn, and speed only makes that turn come faster, also reducing his attack, hurting potential SP gains. He will sit pretty as strong as possible and wait to be action advanced by Sparkle or someone else. So for the 5-star Lycones, there's not really that many good options. They're all just mediocre stat sticks. For 4 stars, we've got See You at the End, good stat stick, crit damage and skill damage always active. Final Victor is okay, max value only on the 4th skill, and stacks are reset each turn. Swordplay, it's good, but you'll have to work around his talent follow-up attacks. They'll target who your active character targets, so make sure to focus fire 1 mob at a time with this. In general, if you're investing in Archer, you probably got his free Lycone. If not, any stat stick will do the job. His light cone is not needed for his build, it's just stats. On to relics. Well, look who's back. The OG quantum domain for Genius of Brilliant Stars makes its return again for another character's best in slot. Alternatively, 4-piece Scholar also works for skill damage. Then 2-piece for attack and crit, and then for 2-piece Planners, we're back to Rudolin Arena for crit rate and skill damage. For main stats, he's pretty well defined. Crit rate or crit damage body, attack boots, damage or attack orb, and attack robe. For body piece, make sure to have 90% crit rate with Sparkle Light Cone, otherwise reach as close to 100% as possible. With his self buffs and supports, his crit damage, damage bonus, and attack will all be extremely high, so 100% crit rate post buff is ideal. For boots, all in on attack. He has zero need for speed since he's waiting for SP anyway. Going speed boots reduces his damage and reduces the likelihood of more SP, so it's just a double loss for his kit. For orb, damage is preferred over attack, but honestly either works. He has lots of attack and damage bonus sources, so whatever substats are better, run with it. For rope, we go all out on damage. Nothing else matters when his turn is basically an all-in button. All right, quick stat check. So around 2.5 to 3k attack, 90% or close to with Sparkle Light Cone, otherwise near 100%, and then crit damage as high as you can get. Looking good? Let's go. All right, team comps. Get that Sparkle out. It's her time to shine now. Archer plus Sparkle plus 2 is going to be core. If you don't have Sparkle, but you still want to commit to Archer, either Hanya in for some moderate skill point generation, or combine Sunday plus Huohuo for an ultra premium team. But going forward, I'm going to assume Sparkle is there with him because she's just so crucial to his kit being functional. We need 1 sustain, and it's probably not a surprise that Galagoat is back. SP positive, as an ult that grants another free attack for more SP. Very, very efficient unit for Archer. Other possible sustainers. Any abundance character with multiplication light cone can technically be SP positive. Luocha is a strong choice with access to free E heals every so often to reduce the chance he actually needs to E on his turn. Huohuo in general for ult sustain on the entire team is a premium choice. This assists both Sparkle and Archer for refunding their ults faster for way more skill points. Finally, Fu Xuan is an option because she's quantum and synergizes with Sparkle's trace passive, but she's not really the most SP positive sustain, so she's not high priority. Luocha and Huohuo besides Gallagher are the best choices that either don't need to actually heal on their turn or fast forward the team's SP generation. And then for the final flex slot, if we take a look at Sparkle's A6 trace, she grants more attack percent if there are 3 quantum allies. Well, she and Archer are already 2, so activating this buff is actually pretty easy and also solidifies really good comps for him. So your go-to buffer is going to be Tribbie. No surprise here, activates third quantum, has res pen and vulnerability percent, and SP positive makes her an excellent choice. The downside, she's slow, so her SP generation is on the limited side. Aim to finish the fight on the faster side with her. Your go-to debuffer is going to be SilverWolf. With her new buff version, she's incredibly powerful for Archer. Also, activates third quantum, guaranteed implant and res reduction, massive AoE def shred, and can be built hyperspeed for normal attack spam and SP generation. And our go-to sub DPS is going to be Cypher. Our recently released Speedy Cat is also a great fit for Archer. Another third quantum teammate, and her kit converts Archer single target damage into a controllable true damage blast attack to help clean up fights for him. And because she naturally holds her ult until the right moment, this could be very useful for Archer mid skill chain to potentially clean up a weak side enemy and allow Archer to full focus another healthy mob. Also, given her naturally high speed, she'll also be a great SP generator through basic attacks. Besides these premium quantum flex teammates, we also have some alternative standard teammates. Ruan Mei is a default SP positive harmony support, can be tuned for hyperspeed for SP generation or slower for longer buff duration. RMC is a newbie staple, SP positive, action advancer, and true damage buff. Aventurine is a default SP positive sustain that can be run to strictly basic attack during his turn. You'll be reliant on his follow-ups to maintain that shield. Overall, while Archer is reliant on SP generation, and I'd personally only invest in him if you can duo with Sparkle, if you don't really mind the lack of SP generation, his team comp variety is actually quite high. And because everyone will have him because he's free, you might find you enjoy his playstyle and can revive old dusty supports to make him shine on the battlefield. All right, so on to showcases. I've got about 2 and a little bit extra for you guys today. This is going to be done on live server, by the way. As you guys can see, the UID is mine. This is my Archer. This is my team. We have E0S1 Archer. Same thing with Sparkle. Tribbie is E1S1 and Gallagher is E6 with QPQ. So that's quid pro quo. These are, I mean, For me personally, Gallagher and Sparkle are kind of like the must-haves. Gallagher is like our 4-star de facto support. His sustain is doable, but his SP generation is amazing because of his ultimate giving him a free enhanced basic attack and an action forward. So the only thing here is that Tribbie is E1. Expect probably 1 cycle more if you only have E0 Tribbie. But overall, this is going to be our first standard showcase, probably one of his stronger teams. You can make this even stronger by replacing Gallagher with sustain lists. So you can do something like Robin, for example, or more Quantum. It really doesn't matter. The only worry is, can you kill before you die? Because if you don't have sustain, this team is pretty squishy. So let's get into it. All right, so in this team, we have 2 passive abilities. We have Tribbie and Sparkle. And then we're going Archer, active ability. All right, so I'm going to be going a little bit fast here. We're going to be basic attacking the left because this guy needs to refresh his armor when he summons his ads. Now we can do Tribbie's ult. Tribbie's ult will be -1 on the shield. RNG on who Archer targets there. And then we use Sparkle E into a Gallagher Q to steal that basic attack here for 9 skill points. So now he's 2 out of 6. Archer's going to have to deal with the damage reduction on the first 2. But after that, we're going to be good to go. So we're punching all of our stuff here. We have ultimate. We're going to send ultimate on the left target because I don't want to overkill. The ultimate is pretty strong, right? It's 1000%. So 504k. This is with E1 Tribbie. And then we're generating. So this is an interesting thing, by the way, because of Tribbie's passive. When Archer ults, Tribbie's passive will proc, which will also proc Archer's charges. So Tribbie is actually able to gain 1 skill point mid ult if you're doing Archer's skill chain, which turns my 9 skill points into 10 skill points. So I can actually do all 5 abilities here. So that is a small thing about Tribbie. That's why she is pretty amazing. Even though she does not basic attack and generate skill points, her passive is going out all the time and she's getting her ultimate constantly. All right, so now last E we're going to send onto the left side because I noticed that the right side, the right elite mob is lower HP. So we're just going to do extra damage here and we're going to 0 cycle the first wave. Now we're going to wait until he summons his ads and then we're going to pop Tribbie's ult to get those break bars down. This is pretty standard. All right, now we're just focusing on surviving. So I believe I choose to E him. Yeah, so this is I need to be safe here because survivability is the worst thing. I've reset multiple times trying to get this run and I just keep on dying. I do have Castry's passive, but I want to prove that we can do this without Casta passive. So we're playing safe here. We have 4 skill points. I'm quite a bit far away from my ultimate. So I decided to send both E's here regardless because this gets me a little bit closer to my ultimate and I do get that second E for the 100% or 200% damage bonus. All right, so Gallagher, we're going to immediately proc this. I'm very worried about dying here. I do not want to risk anything happening. So we recover Gallagher's ult. I'm going to cover Gallagher's HP. Tribbie's passive goes off. And then we do EBA and recover Archer a little bit here. So now that we have the Basada debuff, we can actually be able to heal everyone else as a basic attack for the rest of the fight. There we go. Sparkle, we're going to just basic here. We have no skill points to be able to action forward here. So we're going to be waiting for a big burst moment here. All right, so the cycle's gonna proc here. We're gonna basic on Archer. And then we're preparing for a big turn. All right, so in this turn, I'm gonna do Tribbie's ult first, just to reset those passive stacks, and then Sparkle ult. So that's Tribbie can again do another ultimate proc here, or another passive proc here. There we go. All right, 8 skill points now. We're looking really good. Okay, Sparkle getting dangerously low. I'm gonna go ahead and heal her up. Can't risk her dying here. All right, so now we're gonna bump up. Archer is a little bit further, but we're okay here. And now we're going to proc second phase. So I'm gonna be careful here. I'm gonna ult first. I'm gonna see how much HP the swarm has. Okay, so we do fully phase it here. Phase 2. I'm still mid Archer ult. We also, this is beautiful, by the way. We get a passive proc on the trash mobs to get a little bit of debuff on the main boss. And I have 5 skill points left. We're gonna send both on the main boss and just basically chunk it, and so that we only do 1 more soft rotation here. All right, making sure that we don't die to any of these guys blowing up. So proccing ult just to recover Gallagher's own HP. I believe we get a proc on the trash mob there, which is excellent. More debuffs coming in. Tribbie's ult refreshes. You guys can see how many times Tribbie ults here. It's quite amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and basic the left just so that guy doesn't explode on my ass. And then we're gonna go ahead and refresh Tribbie's E. It's finally out. Should be good to go. We do have very minimal skill points here, which is a little bit unfortunate. But we do have Sparkle's ult. So 2 E's from Archer, and we have a clean run here. Okay, 1 E, boom, explosion, and they all die. Beautiful. There it is. So that is E1 run. E1 run with S1 Tribbie is going to be a 1 cycle clear. If you do not have E1, you're going to lose about 24% true damage. Basically, you probably lose 1 cycle, and you are going to be at risk of dying more often, but still very, very solid. All right, on to the second showcase. This time we're going to be using SilverWolf. SilverWolf is E2 S1 here with her signature Lycone. Basically, this team just switched out Tribbie for SilverWolf. I personally like using SilverWolf a lot because she recently got buffed, and I think her buffs are absolutely amazing, which you guys will soon see here. So because this is E2 S1 SilverWolf, expect if you are E0 to probably lose 1 or 2 cycle. That is just inevitable because SilverWolf's early Eidolons benefit a lot on those trace passives and also ult gen. All right, so let's get into it. This type of team only has 1 passive ability from Sparkle, so we can only use that and then go into Archer. All the other ones are also active abilities. Alright, so we're targeting the dragon first, and the reason why we're targeting the dragon first is because SilverWolf has her implant ready right now, and I do not want to wait for this elite mob to regenerate its armor. So we're going all in on the left mob first and slowly trickling down that armor with our other abilities. So E Sparkle into Gallagher ult. This is pretty standard play here, just to get Gallagher to squeeze in that EBA right now for 8 skill points. I EBA the right one to bring its super armor down to 3, and then we go all in with Archer. So you guys can see the damage here with SilverWolf, still pretty good. All right, beautiful. And when we ult the middle one, okay, 404k is still good even with the super armor on. Now we basic, get that follow-up attack, another basic for another follow-up attack, and then we E and ult on Sparkle. Pretty standard here. Okay, beautiful. It's a beautiful 0 cycle here. No point in saving skill points. All right, now we can set up SilverWolf immediately. We want that implant for the res reduction on the main boss and also to implant fire weakness into an ultimate instantly. You guys will notice that because we have E2 SilverWolf, my ult gen is extremely fast. If you're E0, that will not happen. So that's why you lose some cycles. But totally fine here. We're still good to go. We have Sparkle and Gallagher being targeted. Just want to make sure they're topped up so we don't die to the that ability. All right, so we're using 4 skill points here to get Archer closer to his ultimate. Want to cycle that as soon as possible. I decide to use it here. We are dangerously low. Damage is still good at 367k. Basic into ult again. This allows Archer to get those skill points back. Okay, so this is perfect. Now we can go ahead and I think I consider Eing here with Gallagher because he doesn't have any follow-up attacks anymore. So this is just for safety. And we're going to all in the turn later on. But this is good though. Basic here. Sparkle's going to EQ or E ult. All right, so we have 6 skill points here. All right, so beautiful. 1. So this HP is a little bit fickle here. Only at 4% HP. So I don't like my spot here. I decide to E the side mob because I know the explosion is going to kill. So this way, we get a little bit of that debuff on. All right, so waiting for our turns here. We have no skill points. That extra, the blessing is gonna proc. Gonna get an extra debuff here. Sparkle's dangerously low. We're okay then. We're gonna basic main mob into SilverWolf ult. We're gonna have to E later on. We're not gonna have the alt-type res reduction, but that is it. Gallagher, I believe, should have enough energy here to ult. Oh, he does not. Okay, so he doesn't. So we just do basic here. We do have Gallagher's ult on the enemies though, so we are gonna be able to recover HP from his autoing here. All right, Gallagher was very close to dying here, but we do have ultimate, so he's back up to full HP, which is great. Alright, so I'm gonna proc this guy so he doesn't explode on my ass. Sparkle's ult for more skill points into Archer's turn. Six skill points, let's send it. Okay, 220k, beautiful. Unfortunately, we don't have all-type res reduction on SilverWolf. We just didn't have the skill points there. But this still gets us nearly close to finishing this guy off. If we had all-type res reduction, we would have killed here. Actually, maybe not. 20% is a bit high. 20% is a bit high. Alright, so SilverWolf is never going to end up doing this. She's going to be basic ult spam the whole time, which is totally fine. Archer's follow-up attacks are doing that extra chip damage, which is great. Alright, and then we just bump Archer once so that he can use 1E on the main mob. Basic here, wait for the blessing to proc. That was our second cycle, so now we're down to 3 cycles, which is totally fine. Okay, all of Sparkle was at risk of dying there, but it's totally fine. Alright, 1E in. 1% HP is a classic. It is truly a classic, but it's fine. We'll clean things up here. So we'll Wolf E, even though it's dead. And then we're just gonna ult because I believe the right mob is still alive. Alright, should be dying here pretty soon. Basic into ult. Yeah, he's basically dead. 2 skill points. I Sparkle E and I thought I would have ult here, but I don't, which kind of sucks. But we basic here. It's a little unlucky. I'm not gonna lie. Would have been a 2-cycle clear, but we had to wait for the blessing to proc. So it was close. That 1% kind of f***ed me over, but it is what it is. It happens. And finally, I'm going to fast forward to this one. This is a little bit of a similar run here. We still have Archer, Sparkle, and SilverWolf in this one. This one, I use Cypher Light Cone. And with Cypher's Light Cone on SilverWolf, you can already see them. Anytime during the fight, the amount of debuff, def debuffs that this guy has is insane, and it does help us save for a cleaner 2-cycle run. So yeah, overall, the damage is quite insane. Archer's ultimate with all of those debuffs is able to hit 770k, which is beautiful. But yeah, that's it overall. Pretty good, pretty good. All right, so I'm sorry, I lied. I got one more small showcase from a stream highlight. The SilverWolf demonstration, I actually further managed to cut down time down to 1 cycle on that E2 with Cypher Light Cone clear. This is probably the limit with sustain. In order to push 0 cycle, definitely have to replace Gallagher with something more potent and reset for some good RNG for that energy. But yeah, Archer is super insane, to be honest. Lots of min-maxing you can do and a very fun, unique team comp. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the full Archer guide. Thank you guys very much for watching. I had to do the extra showcases on live server, so you guys can see it's a bit delayed, but I hope you guys still enjoy the video. Both of the showcases, very solid. Archer, personally, from my experience, insanely strong for a free unit. His DPS is quite insane, and he can basically skip mechanics because you can all in on a specific turn and do just so much damage. But yeah, I think that his team comps is a bit restrictive though. I personally would say that if you don't have Sparkle, it's just really not worth investing into him unless you're willing to give him both Sunday and Huohuo and maybe some other premium supports. But at that point, you know, you're basically just giving him triple insane support for any other DPS. So yeah, if you do have Sparkle, I think it's great because Archer is free, and also Sparkle really hasn't had a time to truly shine, but now you guys can truly see Sparkle's value is insane with Archer. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think of Archer. I personally think he's a great unit. You can also use a bunch of other quantum units that really haven't been shown in the spotlight that often. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and appreciate you guys for being patient, and I hope this guide helped you out. Until then, see you next time, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.